When you think of Rio de Janeiro, what comes to your mind? The iconic statue of Christ the Redeemer, golden beaches like Copacabana, samba dance, colorful carnivals, and of course, Brazil's madness for football. But behind that postcard image lies another reality. Sprawling hillsides, densely packed informal settlements, and a long-running struggle with crime and poverty. This week, that hidden side of Rio burst into global headlines once again. Over 130 people were killed in what authorities say was the largest and deadliest police raid in Rio de Janeiro's history. 4 police officers were among the dead. More than 80 people were arrested in what the government called Operation Containment. Hello and welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm Munmun Bhattacharya. Let's decode what exactly happened in Rio and why this operation has shaken Brazil. The raid targeted one of Brazil's oldest and most feared criminal gangs, Comando Vermelho or the Red Command. The operation began early Tuesday morning when about 2,500 security personnel, both civil and military police, entered the Alemão and Penha Favela complexes in northern Rio. These are densely packed neighborhoods near the city's airport, home to nearly 300,000 residents. Officials say the operation was the result of a year-long investigation aimed at stopping the Red Command's territorial expansion. According to authorities, the gang's expansion has been fueling drug trafficking and organized crime deeper into the city. But soon after police moved in, gunfire erupted. Gang members retaliated fiercely. They set up burning barricades, blocked roads with buses, and even dropped explosives on security forces using drones. By the end of the day, the area had turned into a war zone. Roads were closed, bus services suspended, and even flights near Rio's airport were disrupted. Police later said they seized more than 200 kilograms of drugs and at least 42 rifles during the operation. Governor Claudio Castro called it a state operation against narco-terrorists.
Unfortunately, deaths have also affected our police officers. We have cases of police officers who have been tragically killed, and some are already receiving medical attention.
He said 60 alleged criminals had been neutralized and over 250 search and arrest warrants were issued. But for many residents, it was a day of fear and chaos. Stray bullets struck homes, schools were shut, and entire communities were left paralyzed.
Is that right? What kind of operation is this? What has changed? Did they introduce any sports, any studies, anything to improve the lives of young people? They haven't changed anything.
The government paid for this, to carry out this massacre. They have to pay for it. They can't destroy so many lives, so many families, and get away with it.
To understand what's really happening, we need to understand Rio's favelas. The word favela refers to the informal settlements that sprawl across the city's hillsides. They are cramped neighborhoods built over decades by people pushed out of formal housing. These areas suffer from deep poverty, lack of services, and minimal state presence. Over time, this vacuum allowed criminal gangs to take control. They collect security fees, enforce their own laws, and run drug trafficking operations right inside these communities. In Rio today, experts estimate that around 60% of the city's territory is controlled either by drug gangs or by militias. These militias are often made up of former or even current police officers who now run their own protection rackets. And among all these groups, one name stands out. That is the Comando Vermelho or Red Command. The Red Command was formed back in the 1970s inside a Rio prison during Brazil's military dictatorship. It started as a left-wing prisoners group bringing together political prisoners and common criminals. But once released, many members turned their prison connections into a criminal empire. By the 1980s, the Red Command had become a major player in the global cocaine trade, working with Colombian cartels and traffickers in the Amazon to move drugs across Brazil and beyond. Today, it operates like a multinational crime network. It is involved in drug trafficking, extortion, and territorial control across several Brazilian states. This latest operation, Operation Containment, was meant to strike a decisive blow against the gang. But its death toll shocked not just Brazil, but the entire world. The United Nations Human Rights Office said it was horrified by the number of people killed. It called for independent investigation into the police operation. Human rights groups have long accused Rio's security forces of excessive violence and impunity, especially in favelas. In 2024 alone, nearly 700 people were killed during police operations in Rio, almost 2 deaths every day. And many of these raids happen notably right before major international events. This one took place just days before Rio hosts the C40 World Mayor Summit, a global conference on climate change, followed by Prince William's Earthshot Prize event. Some see the timing as no coincidence, but similar crackdowns were carried out before the 2016 Olympics, the G20 Summit, and the BRICS Summit, all hosted in Brazil. Governor Claudio Castro praised the raid as a success, but critics, including rights organizations and political observers, argue that these operations do little to solve Rio's deep-rooted issues. They question whether such heavy-handed tactics involving tanks, helicopters, and now drones truly weaken the gangs or simply perpetuate cycles of violence. For many civilians caught in the crossfire, the fear is the same. They face violence from both sides. Rio de Janeiro remains one of Brazil's most violent cities. Besides its beauty, energy, and vibrant culture, there is always a coexistence of crime and inequality. So on one side, you find carnival lights and football cheers, while on the other, daily life for millions in the favelas means living between the police and the gangs, with both often claiming to protect them. This week's raid may be Rio's deadliest ever, but it raises a bigger question. Will it bring lasting peace, or was it just another chapter of violence? This story is a reminder that behind every postcard city, there's much more in reality to see. Have you heard of sadistic online exploitation? This is not like traditional grooming, where offenders online are looking for sexual gratification. Neither is this an online trap to empty bank accounts. This is different, but as dangerous, if not more. So who are the perpetrators? What is their modus operandi? What is their motive? How do they select their targets or victims? And where and how is this happening? Let's connect the dots. Imagine a game being played online where boys groom girls and then force them to perform serious acts of violence. This is happening in Australia. Vulnerable children, particularly pre-teen and teenage girls, are being hunted, stalked, and drawn in by perpetrators using online networks. The perpetrators are often young men in their late teens or early 20s and largely from Western and English-speaking backgrounds. They recruit girls through gaming and messaging platforms like Roblox, Discord, and Telegram. They manipulate and coerce them into carrying out violent acts of serious nature on themselves, their siblings, and even their pets. They target girls with low self-esteem, girls who feel alienated or have mental health disorders or a history of self-harm. Some of their victims have eating disorders or other attributes that lead them to seek connection online. The perpetrators describe themselves as crime-fluencers. Many of them hold extremist or nihilist beliefs and want to hurt people for fun or to be popular online. In a twisted type of gamification, perpetrators reach a status or new level in their group when they provide more content showing more extreme acts of depravity and sadism. In some cases, perpetrators trade their victims with each other, just like an online game. Once traded, a new perpetrator can control their new victim. So what are the Australian authorities doing about this? The Australian Federal Police, or the AFP, has a new police commissioner, Chrissy Barrett. Barrett says these crimes represent a new and disturbing front in traditional gender-based violence. Under her leadership, the AFP has started a crackdown. She has announced the formation of a specialized task force called Task Force Pompilit. It is composed of experts in cybercrime, counterterrorism, and child protection. This task force aims to identify, disrupt, and dismantle such decentralized online criminal networks exploiting Australian youth wherever they operate and however they hide. Here's what the crackdown has yielded so far. The AFP has identified 59 alleged offenders associated with these networks in Australia. It has made 3 domestic arrests of young men aged 17 to 20 years. Additionally, 9 arrests have been made internationally through partnerships with law enforcement agencies in other countries, including through the Five Eyes Alliance, under which Australia coordinates with the US, the UK, New Zealand, and Canada. Such international collaboration was needed because the networks are widespread, decentralized, and have significant cross-border links. Beyond arrests, the AFP is working with education departments and other agencies to prevent victimization and raise awareness about this emerging online threat. Additionally, the AFP is working with technology companies to develop an artificial intelligence-based detection tool that can detect emojis and Gen Z and Alpha slang used as code in encrypted communications and chat groups. This prototype aims to make it quicker for the police teams to save children from harm before it's too late. AFP Commissioner Barrett says these offenders believe they can hide behind the anonymity of the internet but will face the full powers of law enforcement. At a broader level, online abuse that targets children is rampant in Australia and around the world. The Australian Federal Police-led Australian Centre to Counter Child Exploitation, or ACCCE, recorded a 41% jump in online child sexual exploitation reports in the 2024 to 2025 period. This only highlights the ongoing severity of these crimes. Cases in Australia have included grooming, live streaming of abuse overseas, and sharing of exploitative material. More than 80,000 reports of online child sexual exploitation were received in recent years, where girls were disproportionately affected. Similar abuses have also been widely reported internationally. An estimated 300 million children become victims of online sexual exploitation and abuse worldwide every year. Various platforms like social media and messaging apps are exploited by offenders to groom, coerce and abuse children. The complexity and scale of this issue have prompted coordinated law enforcement and community responses involving national and international partnerships. But given the enormity of the challenge, much more needs to be done with greater alacrity. In the present case of Australian girls being brainwashed to commit serious acts of violence, the alarming rise of decentralized online criminal networks targeting vulnerable and impressionable minds is worrying. It exposes the sinister evolution of gender-based violence in the digital age. Such heinous abuses represent a modern scourge that needs to be handled with a combination of stringent law enforcement, counseling and technology support before more lives are irreparably harmed. That's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you next week with more raging issues. Until then, it's a goodbye from all of us in the Delhi newsroom. This is Munnun Bhattacharya signing off. Take care and stay safe.